Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How you doing today, Steve?
Doing well, Tim. How about you?
Not too bad. It's a little wet out there today.
A couple of nice days of rain.
Yeah, I've noticed the rocks are kind of starting to show back up in the garden, the ones we picked out of there.
Yeah, as soon as it dries up, I'll walk out there and do the heavy lifting of the rocks and get it cleared out just like they did in the old days, except I will have a lawnmower with a trailer on the back to help me instead of a mule or an oxen.
It's true, but we just did this the other day. Now we're going to do it again.
Yeah, there's a lot of rocks up here. And you pulled out some boulders. I have two nice, beautiful rock gardens now. Those things are the size of
We pulled rocks out big as the
Volkswagens.
excavator, exactly. So we have an exciting show today. We have two guests, believe it or not. Word must be spreading like wildfire. Could also be that I beg these people to come in, but we won't, discuss that. But Chief Wilmot's coming in, and then after that, PJ Lovely from the Rec Center is going to come in, and with the chief, we're going to talk about the 5K coming up. We're going to talk about, police stuff, anything he wants to mention. And then PJ will talk about, obviously, the 5K a little bit because it's being put on by the Rec Center. And then also we'll talk about the new Rec Center and, anything else exciting going on there. But one of the first things I wanted to talk about, last night for 6 o'clock, my daughter Alicia was inducted into the National Honor Society.
awesome achievement.
It was a great little dinner. It was at the old courthouse. They had the members there and their families, and then all the current members. I know Zeta is a current member of the National Honor Society, and it was a great time. It was great to see the amount of kids that are exceeding expectations and really doing an awesome job. So we want to name off the members, and I'll apologize well in advance that if I mess up your name, I am very sorry. But so the National Honor Society current members, so 12th graders, we have Bryce Ashley, Ada Gonzalez, Reese Johnson, Zeta Morris, Riley Scarin, Amelia Jelina, Anna Hall, Evelyn Mario, Caden Seymour, Brianna Wilkinson. You can do the 11th graders.
So for 11th grade, we have Sierra Beteljon, Kelsey Carmichael, Darren Janicki,
I knew that one.
Victor Columbi, Timothy Fratzel, Olivia Launder. Did I mess that one up too?
No, see, I gave you the hard ones because I was going to butcher them, but you did really good. Janicki was the only one, and I know that because I've heard it enough times. So those are the current members. So the new National Honor Society inductees are now actual members. Last night for 12th grade was Alicia Urista. 11th grade was Jessica McGuire, and then Olivia Moody. And then for 10th grade, we have Catherine Cossingham, Levi Gilman.
Rachel LaFrancois,
Yes, you did good. I remember that last night.
Emma O'Connor,
Yep.
Eden Rotundo,
Yep.
Tanya Sanchez, and Katie Sharon.
I think we nailed it.
Well, except for my one mistake there on the 11th grade current members.
I think we did pretty good.
Janicki, I apologize.
Congratulations to you guys. This is just something that is definitely something we should talk about on our show and really celebrate our high achieving students and all our students and their accomplishments. And so we want to make sure that, through every show, we try to find something that's really positive that's happening, we don't want to just talk about negative things.
And we want to thank the teachers as well who
Absolutely.
put that on, because the teachers are highly involved and make it happen and sponsor the organization, and it wouldn't be possible without the teachers volunteering their time way after school hours to celebrate our children and the community's accomplishments.
Yeah, so Miss Martin was there, and I feel really bad because the advisor for this whole thing was there, and I don't remember her name, but Andrea had her in school, which I can't figure out because looking at her, and I'm like, okay, do the math. Andrea's 38. This lady looks like she's like 45. I'm like, how is this working out? But I guess she was a great teacher that used to work at Stevens that Andrea had, and we're like very blessed in Newport to have her teaching over here. I could just tell with the girls, like they really, really like her, and I apologize, I don't have the name, but I know all the students out there that know her.
And I probably know the name, and
Probably.
I don't want to say the wrong one and be incorrect.
Yeah.
So I should have thought about that before I brought it up. But I just want to thank you, the unsung heroes.
So what we'll do is before Chief Wilmot comes in, I'll ask Andrea, so that way in our next segment when Chief's on, we can mention the name, because I want to make sure she gets the recognition she deserves, because it was a great time. Another thing that we're looking on the Facebook page for the school, and we want to congratulate Timmy Fratzel, Darren Janicki, Bella Osgood, and Eric Wilkinson, and they've been selected to attend St. Paul's Advanced Studies program this summer. So way to go, guys. Making Newport proud. We want to make sure we get that name out there and really celebrate all these kids' hard work.
Yes, it's an accomplishment to get selected for that, and it will definitely set them up for their senior year and for college if they so choose to go.
Absolutely. Let's see, art show still going on in the Blackberry Art Center.
Yeah. It says on the sign going through town that it's through May 25th, and I had mentioned before it was 27 May. So today we'll go with through May 25th. So make sure you get out there and celebrate our kids' artwork, K through 12, all on display for us to admire and encourage them to continue their artistic side of life. That might be something worth pursuing for. Definitely for some of them, they already look like they're professional artists. It's amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I'm definitely gonna get out there here next week, and like I said, hopefully we can get with them and like do some sort of little recording of it, because I think that'd be great to also get out to people that can't see it. You know, because some people can't, older people maybe can't get out, and let's try.
Yeah, maybe they'll let us walk through and record.
Yeah,
and
I think that I'm sure they
do a
will.
little 5-minute clip on, or however long it takes to
Right.
put it on display.
Maybe we can buy some of their artwork and we display it on our wall.
Yeah, it'd be if it's a donation. I don't know if
You
they'll
know,
let
so
us
spending
do
our
that.
money again.
You love to volunteer. Spending our money.
So May 10th, there's no school. It's a teacher professional development day. It's also voting day.
Voting day.
Very, very important. Get out and vote. No matter what your opinions are of any of the topics, any of the articles, get out and vote.
Let your voice be heard.
Yes.
Every vote counts, and it's your chance to let us know what it is that you want. And I say us, I'm going to be there voting too.
Absolutely. And so we, before we started the show here, Steve looked up on the town's website, and if you go under, what was it? Town News?
NewportNH.gov. And then if you go under town news, there is a sample ballot for the May 10th election. So you can preview it, look at all the different articles that are up, and then if you have any questions, we can do our best to answer them. So if you email us at our new email address,
Which is Tim and Steve Show, NH, Tim and Steve Show NH at Gmail, and we'll put that up at the end of the show so you have it. So email us questions, email us comments, email us whatever. That's the best way to get hold of us now. Next week we're going to do a word of the day each day, and if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us, our post or our page on Facebook, we're going to put you in an entry for a $50 gas card. So it's a way for us to give back, get more people involved, and
spread the word.
you know, with the gas prices, it's not as much as it used to be, but I know $50 would be a big benefit to a lot of people out there.
Yeah,
So
I filled up Zeta's tank for her yesterday because we bumped into each other after the Honor Society meeting. I didn't get to go attend that. I wanted to. And I filled her tank up, and it requires Supreme gas, and it's very expensive.
I have to bump into you at the gas station. That never seems to happen.
If you bump into me, maybe I'll buy you some gas. Mention the show.
So then on May 12th is going to be a school board meeting, 5 o'clock, Lou Thompson room, provided it doesn't change, but usually it's in the Lou Thompson room. But also, more importantly, there is a spring choral concert for the middle school and high school. It's going to be at the Opera House at 6 o'clock.
On 12 May.
On May 12th, yep.
6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So 6 o'clock is probably the middle school, 7 o'clock will be the high school. But get out there and support both. Be there at 6 o'clock, the Newport Opera House, and support our kids in the spring chorus.
Yes, and all this information is on the town's website, the school's website, you know, depending on obviously what we're talking about, but the school's Facebook page too, like all this stuff is out there. If you have any questions, you can contact the school and be like, hey, what's going on, you know.
So the school just updated their web pages,
Yes.
and so it's a lot easier to click on events. You might have to navigate a little bit, but once you find the events, you can just keep scrolling. There's also a calendar that you can click on that'll lay it out for you, so it's a good way to keep track of everything that's going on with the school in the community.
Yeah, and I was so impressed because this website they developed, they did it in-house, and it's much less complicated, and it's just laid out a lot better. So kudos to all of them.
And it seems like they
involved
updated a lot quicker than.
Yeah, I've
I
noticed.
feel like.
Yes, everything seems to be updated a lot faster, which is great. They're always updating stuff on Facebook, like sports, today's middle school games rescheduled because of rain. Like they're really good at that kind of stuff. So especially for the parents out there that are trying to figure out what's going on. Well,
and especially if you're watching us and then our video doesn't upload till midnight.
Yeah, so so last night's video, same kind of thing. So I think what we're gonna do is probably starting next week is we'll do Monday show like on Sunday, and then we'll just have it so that it comes out. We're looking to try to get it out to everybody about 10 a.m.
That would be nice.
So that way it's something everyone knows when to look for it versus when it gets released in the middle of the night. I don't think we get as many views, but so we're gonna look on doing that. What else we gonna talk about right now? Anything? Or we're gonna Chief Wilmot's coming up. I know that.
Yeah, we got Chief Wilmot coming up and PJ. I think that I don't know.
It's good. I'm
so excited that we have 2 guests in one day.
2 guests in
awesome
one day.
To have Coach Miller in, or AD Miller, and yesterday going over a lot of good things, not just sports, but
yeah, he was. I wasn't sure. Like I've heard him on Steve Smith's show before and stuff, and he does the commentary for the football games, and so he likes doing this stuff. But I wasn't sure. I figured we'd just talk some sports, right? But he gave us some insight on everything at the school, which was awesome. Which is what we're kind of looking for. Is like, hey, the more insight we can get, the better. To try to help the school the best we can.
Right, and interesting. Best way to find out something is right here on the Tim and Steve show. We're doing this for you. Hopefully, you're getting something out of it, stirring something to look onto the calendar and figure out, oh, I can make that, I can't make that, and really, ultimately, the goal is to get over our social fears that were kind of instilled with the last 2 years of the pandemic. And so now we need to get back out, communicate with each other, because it's not just, you get a little static feedback there. So it's not just going and watching, now it's nice, when we talked to Coach Miller about it, the sporting events are published on NCTV, either live or afterwards.
Yes.
And plug him again, if you want to volunteer for that, learn how to work the cameras. They do have cameras, so it might not be published live, but then NCTV will put it on later so that the rest of the community can watch it. But if we can, we want to encourage everybody to get out there and be part of the town any chance you get. There's lots of things going on, and utilizing the Newport, New Hampshire, or newportnh.gov website, or as you mentioned before, the school website. Definitely, there's a lot of things going on, and when PJ gets here, we'll also probably get briefing on more things that are going on at the rec center, to just get out there and get to know each other and realize that we're all a lot more alike than we probably realize, because there's a lot of division going on in the world today, to where I don't understand, if we disagree on one topic, a lot of people take it personally, whereas it's okay to have differing views. That's how you move forward, is having open and honest discussions, because you might point out something that I don't know, or that I misinterpreted or misunderstood, and I might do the same if we have a discussion. And at the end of the day, the bottom line for me is have those discussions, and you can agree to disagree, but you're still a good person deep down. It's just because you disagree on a topic, with either whether it's politics and usually it involves politics, but there's also lots of things coming out in the mainstream media that's dividing people. And really, at the end of the day, it shouldn't divide us. What it should do is bring us together so we can come up with a common ground and find out exactly where we can meet in the middle and go from there. So hopefully we're providing you with some of that information that you can get out there and be involved, and also motivate each other to get along and work towards the common good of the town being successful, our state and our country.
Absolutely. So we will be back shortly with Chief Wilmot, and then after that we'll have PJ Lovely in here. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get the Chief in the hot seat.
Yep. We'll be back in a few seconds.
See you shortly. Welcome back to Tim and Steve's show. We have Chief Wilmot in the hot seat.
What's good, man?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So I was just noticing that just before we hit record, you're talking about how great the headphones were. Would you say they're better than Steve Smith's headphones?
They're different.
Different.
Yeah.
See, can't get him.
Yeah, you're running the same ones that we run inside the CNL studio.
This one?
Yep.
Ah.
They're different. They change too,
They do.
So you can't get like too used to one particular type of headphone because they'll change, but they're good.
I like
them. I like how they full ear coverage,
Right. not like the little iPod,
Yeah.
things.
No, these are good.
All right, so we wanted to talk about a lot of things, but one of the things in particular we want to talk about was the 5K that's happening this Saturday.
Sunshine 5K.
Sunshine 5K.
Yeah.
So we kind of had like a challenge out to you that you're a runner. You just run the Boston Marathon.
Yep.
And
Poorly, but I
no,
ran it.
you did it in under 3 hours, which is very impressive.
It took me 6 hours to do the Honolulu Marathon.
But it's hot there.
And there's some big hills,
Yeah, it's
too.
an island, right, with volcanoes and stuff.
But it
like
was
that.
very disheartening when I was heading on like mile 12,
Yeah.
and the other racers were coming on mile 24 for
Yeah.
them, and it's
Right.
oh my God, I can't. It's
So we're
painful.
raising money for charity,
Yeah.
and we said to
Have
the
you picked a charity?
yes. So what we're going to do is donate the money to. So a lot of conversations I've had with Shannon Martin, superintendent, other people, is that there's a lot of kids in Newport Elementary School in particular, but in the high school too, that don't know when their next meal is coming, which I find very disturbing and
Yep.
sad because that should never happen,
Should never
especially
happen,
in
right.
our community.
Right.
So we want to take that money and donate it for that cause, because I've heard like teachers, Jeff Miller was here yesterday, and it's like, yeah, sometimes I buy kids, food out of my own pocket, and I'm like, well, that's also not okay. I'm glad they're doing it, but like this shouldn't be happening in our
Right.
town.
No, I
So
agree.
that's what we want to donate for. So we said to the community that we'd wear pink tutus and make ourselves look dumb, but we're just literally trying to raise money for charity. And we had said that if we could beat your time, that it would take you to do it twice, because we're out of shape and you're a marathon runner.
Yeah.
That we would, so if we can't beat your time, we would match the money. And if we can beat your time, you could match the money.
Okay.
What do you think about
How about
that?
I up the ante?
Oh boy. Okay.
So how about I say this? I will run the course twice, and I will try to catch you on the second lap. So instead of just doubling my time, I will actually run it twice.
And if we can beat you, you'll match it.
Well, that depends on what the.
So far, we've got $105. My brother said he'd do 50. So we have like under $250 at this point. We already told people, like, if someone's like, here, I'll give you $1,000, we're not exactly able
I'm not
to
gonna be able to
match
match
that.
Yeah, I don't
but
want to be able to
within,
match that. I have
within,
kids in college and stuff. So, yeah.
exactly. So, but within reason.
Yeah, but so yes, I would make a donation. I think it's a noble cause.
Yes.
But what I'm telling you is that if you're gonna dress up like an idiot and wear a tutu,
Will you wear a tutu?
I will not wear a tutu,
Okay,
but I will
alright.
run it twice. So instead
That's
of just
fair.
doubling my time, I will double the distance.
That's fair.
So I'll run it once, and then when I finish, I'll just run it backwards.
Now, you have connections. We don't have a police dog in town, but Claremont does, right?
Yeah.
State police have one.
Yeah.
So, to benefit us more, is there any possibility, like the last quarter of the race, you could have a police dog like chase us? Because that would be the motivation. Because I don't want to get bit, and that would scare me, and I would really probably run at that point.
Yeah, but
Probably not.
I've tried that.
Bad idea.
Yeah, it doesn't work, and I'm quick. You know what I mean? But I got.
So you're saying
run
you
down
can't
quick.
beat the police dog?
Correct.
Okay. So is
Yeah,
there
when
like
I
a
was what year was that? That would have been 2008. So I would have been 20. I don't know, 26, I guess.
do you know any vicious chihuahuas around here?
I don't.
Okay. So we'll just have to.
Yeah, just send it.
And I told
If
Steve.
you hear
could
me
just take
coming,
JJ.
if you hear me coming behind you, with a quarter mile to go, sprint.
Okay.
So let's talk about this. Let's geek out a little bit. What do you legitimately think that you can run 3.1 miles in?
I don't know. So I had minus the last month because things have been crazy. But before that, I lost 26 pounds since January.
Yeah.
I've been going to the
Good
gym.
job.
Thank you. I've been going to the gym. Trying to think how long it takes me to do a mile at the gym. I don't know. I usually would do 400 calories, which was around 3-point-something miles. And it took an hour, but that was walking and then some, jogging, but mostly just walking. So I don't know. What's a 5K usually take for a normal?
That's a hard question. I don't want to answer that. West Point?
Probably if I were to go out and run it with as little training as I've done since I've retired, I probably could do it in 33 minutes jogging.
Yeah. So if you can do it in 33 minutes, I don't think that there's any way that I'm going to beat you twice. Because like
But we have to finish together.
Right. So legitimately, I think that I could run. I'll run under 17 minutes. I legitimately think that 16 something, 5:20 to 5:30 pace on a hilly course, but then to do it again. So like I would think I'll run it really hard the first time and I'll run it less hard the second. So if I run, let's just say for the sake of argument, 17 flat and 18 flat, that puts me at 35 minutes. Is that reasonable?
So we have hope? Are you saying we have hope?
Well, what we can do is, for hope, we can jog downhill.
Yes.
We got to like
the
be
way back
strategic about it. We're going to have to print out the map, study the elevation, and pick and choose wisely when we pick up our pace to jog. So
that
we
last
have a
mile
chance.
is fast.
Is it?
Fast. It starts at the cemetery, and it's just about straight downhill to the bridge.
That's good.
So we can
Yeah.
jog.
But the second mile is rugged.
Maybe once we make the loop and we start coming back, he'll be nowhere near us. We could put on like rollerblades or something.
Don't do that.
No, that's true.
That's
Because
like
then we'll be taking an ambulance
performance-enhancing
ride.
shoes.
That's
Yeah.
You can't do
All right.
performance enhancement.
So that sounds like a fair deal. He'll do it twice. We'll beat his time if we're lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah, we can. I think we can do it if we strategically plan it out. So we'll have to chart some times. Maybe get out there and. I mean, I don't know. I was pretty smoked just after doing the green up cleanup.
Yeah, good time, right?
Well, I ended up
My back
walking the
was
course
fried.
twice. That we did this whole stretch out here, and I couldn't find my wallet. And
You
so
lost your wallet?
I thought I almost called the police department to see if anybody had turned it in. Because we drove and we checked where we checked in at the green up cleanup, where we saw you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you coming out
Yeah.
and participating.
Thanks
in
for
that.
having me.
And then we checked at the rec center where we had the pizza at the end.
You had
And then
pizza?
We did. They had pizza at the
Yeah,
rec
you
center
missed
at
that part.
noon.
So I left. Shameless plug here. I left at 11:30. So we went. Some of the guys from the PD and I did Pollard's Mills Road and Breakneck Road, and then I went up and I helped clean up on Maple Street a little bit. So the sort of the Hoy Hill end of Maple Street, and then I left at about 11:15 or so and went to my parents' house, who do live in Newport. My mom graduated from college. I won't give her age, but she's in her 60s, and she got her bachelor's degree.
She works at the school now. I
She
found
works
out
at the school
yesterday.
now. Yeah. So it's super cool. Like as a parent, right? We're all parents here. So as a parent, you go to all your kids' events
Right.
their whole life, right? So high school graduations, college graduations, master's degrees, swearing in ceremonies, kids, all these different things that you get to experience as a parent. And it's pretty cool as a kid to be able to return the favor every once in a while. And it was a pretty awesome experience. It was at SNHU down at it used to be the Verizon Center, but now it's the SNHU Arena. They had the ceremony, it was Sunday afternoon, so it was pretty cool.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
we got to participate in that.
That's awesome.
So
You also did Dancing with the Stars.
yes,
So-
and my mom and dad came to that.
I
so,
saw him.
Yeah,
You won the first night,
yep,
and then the second night you got like third or something
third.
like that.
Yeah,
Still, that's pretty good. You're not a dancer, right? Or is this like a
I
secret?
am now, buddy.
Well, before though, were you?
Yeah, no, 2 left feet. I wouldn't say 2 left feet, but
Left and a half, a left foot.
yeah, sure.
Zeta had 2 left feet when she went into it.
Did she?
She did. She
Yeah.
learned to dance from me, and this is about my only move, snapping.
She did a great job.
It was the first night especially, because the second night he kind of almost dropped her, and she smiled, and it's a very serious
you
dance.
can't smile in the tango,
Yeah,
can
you
you?
can't. And so she kind of smiled, but that first night I had tears in my eyes just to see her up there, so beautiful and graceful, and it was just an awesome experience.
She did an awesome job. One of the coolest things about that event, there's a couple cool things about it, but so every single one of us, so you have 6 adults and 3 kids, right? So the 9 of us who aren't real dancers, everybody's nervous. I mean, even some of the pros are nervous before they go out there. There's 500 people out in the
Right.
Opera House watching you make a fool out of yourself dressed in these ridiculous outfits. But the cool thing is that every single person went out there and did it. You know what I mean? And I'm a believer that like doing hard things that you're uncomfortable doing, it makes you a better person. So it's cool watching people like confront their fear and confront their anxiety and go out there and do it in spite of that stuff. So it's that was pretty neat. I think the biggest thing, the coolest thing about Dancing with the Stars is like, I don't know how to say it other than to be corny about it, but like you can feel the sense of community inside the Opera House.
Absolutely.
That's
Right.
what we talked about that after
Yeah,
the
it's
show.
like the energy was like real.
Yep.
I know it sounds kind of corny and stuff, but
No,
like if you were there, you could feel it, right?
my parents wish and prayed probably that I lived in Texas right now, and I keep trying to get them to come up here because I talk about it all the time. The town square is just, it reminds me of when I studied history and the Revolution and meeting up in the Northeast to take on the British. It's like when
Yeah.
you drive through there, you got the beautiful Opera House, and then to have all of us in there because you had kids all the way
Yeah.
up to adults and
Yeah.
the older generation, and everybody had just a great time. It was just an awesome experience.
Yeah.
And then to see you, the chief, up there,
Fumbling
you
through.
say fumbling, but you won the first night. It was
popularity
awesome. And then
contest.
for me, having my daughter there, and especially with us just living here under 4 years, it was an awesome experience for our family, and it really made us feel like part of the community. And it's just awesome. Anytime you get anybody together like that at the
Yeah.
Opera House,
Yeah.
it has a different sense of community.
Newport has a pretty active, I mean, not pretty active, Newport has the most active sort of town common I've ever seen, right? So, and if you're going to pick a place to live, if you just simply pick a place to live based on how active its common is, you're going to pick a pretty good place to live. When I write letters to applicants and folks who reach out about, showing an interest in moving to Newport or living in Newport, I always say that Newport is a community that's fit for like a Lifetime movie.
Right.
It's,
I say Hallmark, but yes.
yeah, Hallmark.
Lifetime's
Lifetime.
a little more dramatic, but Hallmark's a little bit more.
And maybe I say Hallmark in the letter. Lifetime's just what came to my mind right now. But be that as it may, particularly like if you ever have the occasion, and I don't recommend you do this, but if you ever have the occasion to be out late at night and in downtown and you see the lights on the Common and you see the lights from the Opera House, it's quaint and it's a cool little town. It's a very active town. Our Chamber of Commerce puts on so many events throughout the year, from Dancing with the Stars, the Winter Carnival. We have the block party that happens in the summertime.
Got the car show coming
We have
up.
the car show and the
yeah.
airplane show. We've got this prom in Newport is a thing. Like, prom's a thing everywhere, right?
Right.
But prom in Newport is like especially a thing. Homecoming is a big, huge deal here in Newport. Graduation is a big, huge deal here in Newport. It's just, I haven't seen it. I've worked in a couple other communities as a police officer, and I've never seen a sense of community like I have here in Newport. So
We
it's
rock.
pretty, yeah.
Chief just confirmed it.
Yeah,
We
kill
are
it.
the best.
Yep.
So if you're looking for somewhere to move and you're not here in the town of Newport, of our 300 listeners and watchers, come look at our real estate.
Yeah, and share the podcast so that we can up the number of listeners, right?
Exactly. 5 listeners, remember? Oh,
Hit
wait,
that like
right.
button, subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
Watch,
Smash the
share.
like button.
Yes.
Help that algorithm out.
Yeah.
So what else is going on at the PD? What's new? What's exciting?
Yeah, we got a lot going on. So we just had 2 officers graduate from the police academy on April 22nd. Matthew Twining, Marine Corps veteran. That's probably, is that a dig to an Army guy?
No. I love the Marines. I had a
Okay.
Marine Corps boss once. He's awesome.
Okay, so Matt Twining, Marine Corps veteran, he started his police career in New Jersey, sort of on the shore. He worked there for just a little while. Shortly after the pandemic sort of hit, he left the field of nursing and got into police work, and we actually were able to grab him. He was looking to get more into a rural setting than an urban setting, so good grab there for us. And then Rachel Stark, who's a local kid, grew up in Newport, went to Newport school, graduated, also joined the National Guard, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. But she also graduated the academy on the 22nd, so they're in field training
Awesome.
now, and super positive attitudes. It's good because it's like that breath of life that sort of gets breathed back in. And as a more veteran officer, like when you have these younger folks come in and like you see their enthusiasm for the job and their enthusiasm to like get going, it puts a little flame back at in our own
Rejuvenates you a
fire.
little
Yeah,
bit.
a little bit, right? Good news, bad news. I'm super proud of the fact that Rachel is a member of the New Hampshire National Guard. Right before she went to the police academy, members of her unit got activated to serve at the prison. She was able to get a hardship exemption so that she didn't actually have to go serve an activation at the prison in New Hampshire. However, about 2 weeks before she graduated from the academy, she got notified that her unit's getting activated to go to the southern border. So at the end of summer, we're going to lose her for 14 months to serve our country. So
Well, that's a noble cause.
Yeah, on one hand, I'm super proud, right? And I think that the residents of the town of Newport should be proud that we have a member of our staff who's, you know, serving the country and stuff. Selfishly, I'm sad because that's, you
One
know,
less
we don't want to lose her. You know what I mean? She's a good human and a good person, and she's going to fit in really well in the community and in the department. And I don't want to lose her for 14 months.
But the only benefit is she's kind of working for the community in a way. Well, she's down there stopping drugs and illegals coming through the border, so that could kind of sort of help in a off kind of way.
Or she might just be there to provide security in general. But
File
yes.
paperwork.
Yeah.
I have no idea what their mission set is when they get there yet, but and I don't even think she knows where she's going. If she's going to Texas or if she's going to California, I think those are the two options right now. And in talking about Texas, it looks like it. I think she said it would be like eastern Texas too. So she's going to get some humidity.
Right.
Right.
Humidity.
Whereabouts in Texas are you from?
I'm from Houston, so
Really?
just northeast of Houston, a small. It was about this size of a town.
Yeah.
It's about 6,000 whenever I lived there.
Yeah.
And it's booming because they're building a new loop on the outside of it. It's called Huffman.
Okay.
It's
I ran my fastest marathon in Houston ever.
really
This January.
well.
yeah.
It's like
So
below
Houston
sea
has got
level.
Yeah, Houston's got a good spot in my heart right now, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think my
I
brother's
hate
ever-
Boston right now, but I like Houston. So.
My brother's a marathon runner.
Okay.
He's ran 8, and his goal is to get 10 in before he turns 50 or 51.
Has he run Houston?
I don't think he's run Houston. He ran one in Greenland or Iceland. I mean, he's ran some crazy places. He
I
and
have
his
a buddy
wife
of mine who's a
travel.
cop in Iceland.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
and he looks like, you know, Nordic, and he's got the big beard, and yeah, Tjorvi is his name. He's also a runner, athlete, stuff like that. You know, PJ went to Iceland recently.
Did he?
Yeah, you're gonna have him on soon, right?
He's coming up next.
Talk to him.
Well,
He
I'll
also
talk
just
about
got
Iceland.
back from Costa Rica, so pura vida.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very.
So with you said it's Ashley?
No, Rachel.
Oh, Rachel.
Rachel,
So
yeah.
with Rachel leaving, we not to talk politics, but there is a ballot initiative for the town to review. We said it's Article 9,
Article 9.
and
Yeah, so I think a lot of people know, a lot of our local people know anyway, that the town and the police union, and the police union is comprised of full-time police officers from the rank of sergeant down, and then full-time dispatchers. So anybody that's got the rank of lieutenant or above is not a member of the police union. So depending on the length of the contract is bargained between the members of the union and the town, so the town being town hall, myself and the finance director, and the town and the police union were able to come to an agreement this past spring, and then the select board sort of approved it to go. They gave it their nod of approval, and it got added to the warrant, made it through deliberative, and it's going to be on the vote next Tuesday. So that's Article 9, and then Article 6 obviously is also another very important one.
Yes, the rec center.
Which is the rec center, and then the town budget too.
Well, the town budget's kind of an easy thing because if you vote no for the town budget,
Because the default's higher, right?
yeah, it's 2 cents higher. So this year's budget's 2 cents lower than last year. So then if you want to look at the rec center that has a 74-cent impact at the most, it's actually only 72 because 2 cents cheaper than last year's budget anyways.
I like your math.
I did graduate from Newport.
That's good.
I
Yeah.
can do math.
Yeah.
We were talking about our National Honor Society. My daughter was inducted last night. Steve's daughter.
Congratulations, man.
Yes, and Steve's daughter was inducted. Was it last year? It must have been last year. Sophomore year.
We have 2 kids. My wife and I, we have a blended family. We have a total of 4, and we have the older 2 are in National Honor Society. Well, one of them is in college now, but
Nice.
That's awesome.
So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
both the girls work really hard, and he was talking to Zeta earlier, and like Thank you so much, because you two make us look so good, because they're
Right.
always doing
Like,
great
most people
things.
didn't know me. They know Zeta more than they
Yep.
know me. So she's out there in the. I mean, she just makes herself known. She's a good, positive kid, and it's
She's a
great.
senior, right? She's going to
She's a
Montana.
senior.
Did I
Montana
hear that
State.
correctly. Yeah, I happened to overhear a conversation between her and one of the alumni dancers. I think it was on Friday night. And, it was Heidi North, actually. I think Heidi knows somebody that's also going to.
I think her son, and I think she has two sons.
Someone else, yeah. I guess it's her son. I knew it was somebody that she knew was going to Montana, and they connected about that. So
That's awesome. So she'll have a couple of Newporters there.
She gonna do ROTC?
No,
Come on.
she's looking to do business. She wants to open up a journal store. Actually, when
You can do that in the Army.
we can't. You can.
Have you pushed that at all?
No, So I served 20 years, and
Thank you.
thank you. Oh, you're welcome. I did it because my mom and dad raised me to love my country, and that was one of the big things that we always did. My dad, I remember I had a library book that was late, and he told me it was un-American to have a late library book. I mean
That's awesome.
We were raised with pride in our country and our state. Like, Texas is very proud of itself. Kind of like Montana was the same way. Everything in Montana focuses on Montana. And New Hampshire is kind of the same way with the live free or die. So sometimes I think people forget what that means. But just proud of my daughter. I forgot what we were talking about.
Marcus Luttrell, right, from Lone Survivor. I heard a quote that he said one time that one of his family members had said to him, because Marcus and his twin were both Navy SEALs, and like every male member of his family had served at some point. I'm 99.9% sure this is him. If it's, I hope I'm not attributing this to the wrong person, but the quote was basically, America's one of the greatest countries that's ever existed. You better serve it before you exploit it. So
Right.
Go into the service when you're a young man or a young lady or whatever, and sort of do your service to the country before you take from it everything it has to give. So I think that's a good lesson to.
Now, Zeta kind of had it hard, though, because I was a battalion commander in Hawaii, and so you're on an island.
Oh, that's a tough
And
gig.
so
Yeah.
she was in middle school.
Yeah.
So soldiers that I might interact with every once in a while, they would know Zeta because she was always with us, because everything's kind of family oriented in the Army. And so Zeta had all eyes on her. So if she went and was walking down the street and did something wrong, I would hear about it. So she kind of she loved the time, because I did a lot of intramurals, so she got to hang out with all of us that played sports. And so she was like my right hand. I mean, we went everywhere together and did everything together. And so I think she feels like she's had that experience. And then working with Tim and Andrea at the market when it was open before the accident, the fire. She really enjoyed that, and I think that's what she wants to do, is be an entrepreneur, have her own journal store,
That's
maybe
awesome.
design some stuff, have her own food items. So she's pretty motivated about it, and I'm proud of her. And if she were to serve, I would gladly, swear her in if they'd let me. I'm sure they would, because I'm retired, but I still kept.
You ain't dead,
like
right?
a retired rank, but I could still. I think I'd put my uniform back on and swear her in. But
What if she wanted to
I'm
be
proud of her, whatever she wants to do.
What if she wanted to be a Marine, though?
We would have a conversation.
So this is how I motivate Steve sometimes. So
Yeah.
if Steve's lagging behind or something, we're outside working or whatever, I'll be like, Marine could do that faster. And Steve's like,
Marines are a different breed, and I know Mike Johnson and some of the other guys in town would definitely call up and say, we do things a lot harder, and they're a lot more disciplined. And when I say that, a Marine, you tell them what to do, and they go and execute. In the Army, I tell somebody what to do, and they kind of want to know the why, the how. There's like a conversation about it.
That's probably the Army in the 2000s, right?
Yeah.
I suspect very much that the Army in 1945, you weren't going to be asking
you were.
why.
No.
Executing.
Pat would have slapped your face
yeah,
off.
no, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it kind of
So
changed
you've
in the
traveled all
90s.
over the world, right? So
Yeah.
this is an interesting sort of a topic. I was talking to Derek Furlong, the county manager at one point, who, as you may know, was a lieutenant colonel when he retired. I think he actually retired as a full bird colonel from the Air Force. And Derek's a lifelong Claremont kid, graduated from Stevens, went to the Air Force Academy. And I said, why come back to the Northeast? Like, I loathe our climate in the Northeast. I absolutely hate snow. I hate winter. But I was born here. I was raised here. And I started a family here. So I'm sort of stuck here, at least until the kids are gone, until I retire, right? So why did you choose? I mean, you're from Texas, nice and warm. You went to Hawaii, pretty.
Yeah.
I'm sure your service in the military took you all over the world and all over the country. Why New England?
Well, my wife is a nurse practitioner,
Okay.
and so there were at the time only a few states that allowed nurse practitioners to practice without being under the supervision of a doctor.
New Hampshire's
so
one of
New
them.
Hampshire's one of them.
Yeah.
And then the taxes, there's no income tax, so
Yeah.
that takes the burden off of my retirement income, so
Sure.
I can. And so between those two topics, and my brother has a home in New London.
Yeah.
And so it's more of a rental vacation home that he uses, that the family uses. So there's a little connection to family because he and his wife were living in New York City, or just outside of New York City. They now live in Colorado. And so we're kind of out here on our own. But and then Nikki got a job in Claremont at the hospital there. And so when we were looking around, this property was up for pre-market before it was for sale. And when I clicked on it, I felt like that's going to end up being the house because it's got a pond,
Yeah,
it's
it's
got everything
gorgeous,
that I
man. Yeah,
wanted.
it's gorgeous.
And then I had mentioned this before, but there's no poisonous snakes. So if I go to the pond,
So that's the only good thing about our winters, right? Our winters kill and prevent a lot of that stuff from
Right.
being up here. Alligators, poisonous
yes,
snakes,
that's
poisonous
exactly
spiders. Yeah.
and I can go out there, and if I needed to, I could probably boil the water in my pond and
Yeah.
drink it. Whereas in Texas, it's probably a little too hot and stagnant, and
Right.
might be an alligator or a copperhead or a water moccasin waiting to greet
you.
me. So
Right.
there's some definite positives. Now the winters are kind of rough, but I've learned how to plow with my little lawnmower. I got
Yeah.
a good snowblower at Tim that I can call up whenever it's too thick of snow. And being retired, I can sit inside and just watch videos all day
Yeah.
and
Do
read
this.
and research
Good
and
gig.
do all kinds of good stuff. So
What is your reading sort of? window?
I'm all over the place. Right
Yeah.
now, Zeta and I are trying to read Atlas Shrugged before she
Oh
graduates.
my, wow!
And
Ayn
it is
Rand, that's a big ask.
it is a
Yeah.
tough read. And
It is a
and
tough read.
I went upstairs, I don't know, a month or so ago, and Zeta's book is way further indented, so she's about 3/4 of the way through. And we were talking about it a couple weeks ago, and she's like, "Oh, I finished it." And I was like, "Oh, how did it end?" Because I already know the ending. And she couldn't really tell me. I was like, "No, we're finishing it." I was like, "I'm way behind you, but we got another month to finish it up." So right now I'm reading Ayn Rand, and then I read a whole bunch of different things. I like to read fiction, nonfiction, but right now I'm just trying to struggle through Atlas Shrugged.
So I got into I'm big into history, so I've read a bunch of biographies. I think I have a certain window for me where I don't want to say I lose interest, but like my the vigor I sort of, which is ironic considering that I run marathons, right? And I can focus on something for a long time. But I read a book called Team Arrivals, which was about Abraham Lincoln and his cabinet. Absolutely fantastic book. It took me years to read it though, because I'd read like 200 pages, and then I'd put it down, and then I'd pick it back up, and I'd have to go back and read the last 50 pages to jog my memory, and so it took me forever. Then I started one on Winston Churchill, and again, same thing. I read like 300 or 400 pages, and it sits there. So I'm like in the 200 to 300 page range, just like I think my sweet spot. And I could read every single day, a book a week. But you give me like a 600 page book, and it's like
It's a struggle.
It's a
and
struggle.
I
I
think
put it
it's a
down and
psychological thing
yeah.
too. So you open up Atlas Shrugged and you're like, oh my god. And it's written in the 30s. So it's definitely the verbiage is a little bit different. So you gotta get in the mindset of the lingo of that time. But I read biographies too. I read a little bit of anything and everything. So my father-in-law usually buys me a book for Christmas, and it's mostly biographies. It's been a couple of years. I think the last one I had was on Abraham Lincoln. I read a whole bunch of random stuff to try to stay abreast. And I read a lot of news because that was my passion when I was a kid. My mom always watched ABC News at 5:30 in Texas Central Time. And for me, like when they would make a mistake, they wouldn't really acknowledge it until like 4 or 5 days later. So they always kind of like bothered me. And so when I went to college, I studied American politics, and then I focused on journalism as it relates to politics and just how it went from There used to be fair and balanced. I think that's someone's motto now. But
Fair, balanced, and unafraid. That's
But it was the fifth estate. It kept everybody honest, and then you start researching it.
it's entertainment now, man.
Yeah,
It's
and
entertainment.
you start.
kinda
This
like
was
the
in
WWE.
'96.
It's what?
It's like the WWE,
Oh yeah.
entertainment only.
So I was going to look for it last night. Actually, I think I kept one of my first papers, and it was written in 1996, and it was about the election, and as a young college student trying to develop a survey of, if you will, to look. But I took 3 national newspapers and studied the placement of not Al Gore, Bill Clinton versus, who's at 96? Bob Dole. So Bill Clinton versus Bob Dole, and just looking at that from a analytical, non-biased perspective, and then you could see that certain articles on certain individuals are front and center, and other ones, as you get into the national newspaper, are on the back. And and I didn't take into account whether it was favorable or negative, because they say there's no such thing as negative press. And so that kind of like sparked me, was watching the news and seeing, and I didn't like it. It just bothered me and they didn't, and it was like a little 10-second clip. They didn't go back over it and say, this is where we made the mistake. And I always feel like to maintain integrity, you got to own up to your mistakes, admit to them, and put them out there, right there for everybody to see. Otherwise, why would I trust you? So I just, and that started at a young age, and that kind of just motivated me for the.
That's a pretty good lesson to learn, though. Like as a young, military officer, certainly as a young man, right? I think the hallmarks of a good person is to say, like, yeah, I didn't do that right. Or what was something I heard last week? Success has a lot of fathers, but failure is an orphan, right? It's pretty.
true.
It takes a lot of courage sometimes to say, yeah, I was wrong, or is there a better way to do this? I don't have all the answers, and
That's what I kind of like about the Army too. So anytime you do a mission, you have an after-action review, and you develop a report out of it, and it says this is what we did well, and this is where we did wrong, and then you provide it to everyone else so that they don't make those same mistakes.
I think it also takes a lot of courage to be a subordinate, or to be somebody sort of a little bit further down the line, to look and say, like, Tim, you're the leader of this operation or whatever, and I think that we could have done such and such a little bit better. I think it takes a lot of courage, and I've seen that. I've seen that here in Newport, in the police department. I've seen it in different things that have happened in the town. I've seen it in other places that I've worked, where people just don't always want to speak up and say, like, we could have done this better, or I think I know another way to do this. They just, sort of bury the head, and it becomes a groupthink exercise,
Right.
and it's just not as constructive as it could be. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I think that's a perfect summary of my experiences and the lessons that I learned and one of my, it goes back to parenting. My dad's big thing was, good news doesn't get better with time, or bad news doesn't get better with time. So you gotta, like, if I did something wrong and I just had to tell my parents, like, hey, I did this. I didn't.
Bad news doesn't get better with time. I like that.
Yeah. So that's just kind of how I've operated. And I obviously make mistakes. We're all human, and there's probably things that I probably should have done differently, and didn't.
None of which will come to your mind right away,
right?
Because they're so far in the past. But.
So anyway, I just think that's a good lesson to learn, that bad news doesn't get better with time.
So we were talking before we came on air. You went to West Point.
Right.
So in order to get to West Point, obviously you had to have really good grades, good SATs. You had to have.
I had average SATs, to be honest with you. I did better on the ACT because I had science and reasoning. So I think my ACT scores actually boosted my.
But you had to have a political nomination.
Right. Congressman.
Congressman, yeah. What did you get for grades in high school?
I had all A's except for, I want to say, my senior year in physics or calculus. I might have had a couple B's, but but again, I think it goes back to parenting. My mom and dad, I had missed one day of school because I got sent home with a fever in the second grade at noon, and you had to be out for 24 hours. And I remember my dad going to the school being like, no, he no longer has a fever. He needs to be at school, because it was important. Be where you're supposed to be as well, and so,
show up early.
Right. And nowadays with the pandemic, I think that's one of the good things that came out of it, is if you're not feeling well, call in sick, because don't get everybody else sick. I think that's a good lesson to learn. So it's harder to get that perfect attendance, but I had perfect attendance. I ran for student organizations.
I was going to say you were involved in extracurricular stuff. Yeah.
I was captain of the cross country team and the golf team. I played
See,
basketball.
it's in there. It's in those legs somewhere, isn't it?
Somewhere. It's
Texas
hidden.
is flat, though.
Yeah,
right?
Texas is flat and
Yeah.
below sea level,
Yeah.
basically. So anyway, I worked hard, and like I think I said when I was running for the school board, is I wasn't particularly like the smartest guy, but I worked hard, and I put the time in, I put the effort in, and I really attribute that to my parents holding me to high standards and putting education at the forefront of both me and my brother. Like my brother went to West Point too, 4 years before I did.
No kidding.
So tremendous accomplishment for our family, but really that comes down to, I think, parenting and the family unit and the town, because it was a smaller town. It wasn't like Newport because we didn't have the common. We weren't as connected as we are here in our town now, but everybody knew what you were doing, and if mom and dad got a phone call, we were in trouble.
Yeah,
like
right.
there was discipline was big for us when we were growing up, doing the right thing and
even
owning
when no
up to
one's looking, right?
Yeah.
That's the definition of integrity. So I will circle back to Tim, but before I do, I will say when I was in high school and before, like my whole dream as a kid was to go into the Army, and my parents didn't want me to enlist. They wanted me to go to college first. So I said, well, I'll compromise with you and I'll go to West Point, right? Well, I had decent enough grades, but I did not have straight A's. I had A's and B's, and I was involved, but not probably as involved as you were. So there was no chance at a 3.3 or 4 grade point average that I was going to get into. And my SATs were not high enough. So I wasn't getting into West Point, so I compromised and I went to a private military school for college. But be that as it may, and this is where I'm going to come to you, when I went to college, I definitely felt, and I graduated from Stevens, I definitely felt like I was prepared enough to succeed in college. And so, I put myself out in high school. I took harder classes. I was a kid too.
Right.
I mean, I did stupid stuff. I think that we all did stupid stuff. I think that's part of being a kid. You have to do that stuff. But when I got to school, I definitely felt like I was prepared. I felt like the academic rigor and like the coursework and stuff like that. I never felt like I was behind. Now, as you've graduated from Newport and gotten into life, do you feel like you've been prepared to handle the rigors of life, to be able to speak?
It's a tough question because, so for me, between school and my parents, I would say, mostly prepared to just go into life. But I feel like some of the issue today is, the issues with the school, with discipline. So there's a lot more distractions for the kids, but also you have a lot of lacking in parenting now that we had, like back, I graduated in 2001.
Yeah, we're
So
the
it's-
same age. I graduated in 2000.
Yeah, so it's hard to like compare. For me, Newport School was a good school. I mean, even back then, it was like, oh, it's Newport and it's Claremont. You
Yeah, it's
know
the same
how
thing.
it is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the same thing.
And make no mistake, man. There was challenges. I mean, there was fights in school, and there was,
Yeah.
there was challenges. But like, you're right. I had strict parents too, and rules, and
I feel like today the school. One thing I like about the school now, in particular, is when I was in school, it was like college, 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 and now they're finally realizing that it's like, okay, well, college isn't for everybody.
Right.
Some people they're going to go into a career. Some people are going to go to, technical college and become a
Right.
plumber or something like that. And we need those positions more than anything now. So I'm glad the school's really changed from, it used to just be all about college to now it's like, hey, what are you good at? And, oh, hey, you know what? Trade school is a place for you. Go become a plumber, make a lot of money, electrician or mechanic or whatever.
Well, just Adriano, right? With his EMT. So he graduated
Yeah.
from high school already able to get a job as an EMT,
Yeah, he did the
certified and everything.
Yeah, he did the EMT class in school in the VOTEC.
Yeah.
Which we had the VOTEC when I was in school, but in same with
Yeah.
in Claremont. But the programs they offer today, it's like
Yeah,
it's
it's
probably
different.
3 times as much stuff. And
Yeah.
so when he said he was doing the EMT class, I was like, that's awesome because
Yeah.
there's such a shortage of that and out here, and for him to be able to do that in school, like it was
Yeah,
great.
big-
I
and-
also think I think some of that is also driven by society. I think some of it's driven by social media. I think the fact is that I think probably society and people in general have long recognized that we need people in the trades, that we need people to be doing things other than going to college, and that college wasn't a good fit for everybody. But now that you have social media and you have a platform to sort of like send that message out, I think it's getting out there, and I think it's, it gets a little bit more momentum. We at Newport PD have partnered with the high school. We've had a student intern this spring semester.
Awesome.
It's been our first foray into it, so it's been a little bumpy at times. We're not like perfect at it, but we're learning. She's been a really sort of go with the flow kind of kid, but she's had a good time. We've thrown her into a bunch of stuff that she probably didn't think that she was going to get thrown into. We've brought her down to the range. We've had her sit in dispatch. We've had sort of bigger operations where we've made a bunch of arrests, and we've had her sort of involved in that. We did a really cool training event last night that we had her involved in, where we brought in police officers from Claremont and from Sunapee, and then a bunch of our guys from Newport, and gave them a 3-hour refresher class on administering standardized field sobriety tests. So I won't geek out too much on your podcast, but when somebody gets stopped for suspected DUI or whatever, there's 3 standardized tests that the police officer will give roadside, and it's horizontal gaze nystagmus, where they wave a pen or some sort of a stimulus in front of your face to look for jerking in your eyes. Then it's the walk and turn, and then the one-leg stand. So there's a very, very specific way and order in which these things have to be done, and a specific process. And if the guys don't do it often, if they're not getting a lot of DWIs, then they get rusty. And so we did this training last night where we put them through the class, and then I got 3 adult volunteers to agree to consume alcohol off.
That must have been so hard to convince people to
right?
do.
So we tracked them, and I was actually the bartender. We served them with alcohol, or I don't want to use that term.
They drank alcohol.
They drank alcohol under my supervision.
Yes.
Right? And then we went back to the police station, and these younger police officers had a cool experience of being able to, in a controlled environment, administer standardized field sobriety tests. And like I said, this all comes on the heels of us talking about the tech center. So we have students here watching this happen, seeing how exciting this can be. So it was just a cool,
And did you have online signups for this experiment?
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't get a text message saying,
yeah.
"Hey, do you want to drink tonight?"
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we're going to experiment.
Well, we've
on
already
it.
talked about that offline, and I know you don't drink, so I didn't ask.
Nah, not really. So I have a question.
Yeah, go.
So I watch a lot of like Lone Star Law, Northwoods Law, which is based on New Hampshire, Northwoods.
Did you see my episode?
No,
Okay.
you're on that.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's also some local kids that have
My nephew, Keith and Keegan Longowski, they're on it. A couple of years, it was probably 3-4 years ago, and their stepdad didn't have a fishing license. It was kind of funny, but you'll see them do sobriety tests, especially the Lone Star Law one, because they got a lot of water down there, and they'll to do it. So if there's alcohol, say, because if you're
Alcohol's easy. Let's use
alcohol's
alcohol.
easy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you got pulled over and they're like, "Hey, you know what, Tim, I think you drank too much. Can you just opt for the breathalyzer test? Because I don't want to stand out there and do all that goofy stuff. Because I'm like, I don't know, can I actually even do that like normally, or can I just what's admissible in court? I know like if you suspect that I've been drinking and I fail the test, then you do a blood test, right?
I'll let you finish because this is.
But I'm like, can you
there's
just?
a lot of parts to this. So
I'm just curious. Like, can you
address
just, because I know if you get pulled over, anyone out there gets pulled over and says, and the officer says, "I want you to do a field sobriety test." If you say no, it's an automatic loss of license. You refuse to do the test, you lose your license. But if I'm like, I don't want to stand with one foot up and all this, can I just do the breathalyzer test? Is that an option, or is it no? You need to do the steps you were talking about.
Yeah. So the long answer short is everything that we ask you to do is voluntary. Period.
Right.
On the side of the road, we ask you to get out of the car. We ask you to perform field sobriety tests. You can say no. You can say, no, I don't want to do the horizontal gaze nystagmus. I don't want to do walk and turn. I don't want to do like one leg stand. It's all voluntary, right? More often than not, people are, they feel a sense of responsibility to demonstrate that they are not impaired. That's generally, they want to demonstrate to the police that, I'm not under the influence. And very often when we ask somebody to, because make no mistake, and I'm not trying to downplay the effects of drunk driving, but like you're a almost 40-year-old guy, right? You can have a couple of beers and drive your truck home, and
Right.
that's not against the law.
Right.
Right? It's against the law to be driving while you're under the influence of alcohol. So if you get stopped by a police officer because you've failed to dim your headlights and you've got alcohol in your breath and maybe you're tired, so you're exhibiting some other symptoms that may be similar to alcohol impairment, and the officer asks you to step out of the truck and perform some field sobriety tests, you're going to say to yourself, I've had 2 beers, because anytime you talk to yourself, you always have to lead with self. Right? So you're going to say, I want to demonstrate that I'm sober and I'm safe to drive, and you're going to go through that battery of tests, and at the end of it, the officer's going to say, okay, Tim, have a seat in your truck. I'm going to just go run your license, make sure your license is valid, and it'll have you on your way. That happens more often than somebody getting actually arrested for DWI, quite frankly. But to answer your question, yeah, somebody can refuse to do any number of tests. The PBT, the portable breath test that we use on the side of the road, we have gotten away from using that as often for a variety of reasons, and there's a lot of legal nuance in it that I don't want to bore you or your viewers with, but suffice it to say, we will do that in certain circumstances, but we try to use that less. Now, if you get arrested, right, and you go to the police station, in New Hampshire, we have 2 processes that happen, right? They're happening concurrently. So one is administrative license suspension, right? That's all through the DMV. The other is a court process. Sometimes people don't understand that there's actually a nuance there and that there's a distinct difference between the two. So if you get arrested for DWI, I will read you this administrative license suspension rights form, which has 6 lines. I will read you your ALS rights, and I will ask you to submit to a test or tests. If you say, I'm not going to take your tests, then you have an automatic license loss. Automatic, using air quotes, because you still have the right to have a hearing and all this other stuff, right? Now, if you can agree to take the test, and if you agree to take the test, and if you test over a 0.08, then you will also lose your license, right? And then there's some interplay between the court and the ALS. But I don't want to get into that because it gets very, very technical.
So moral of the story, don't drink and drive.
Yeah.
Don't drive if you're under the influence of any sort of
Talking
drugs
to you
at all.
twisted tea drinkers that live in town.
So when we cleaned Barton Whitney Road on Sunday for the cleanup,
Twisted tea.
Twisted tea cans is very common, and Bud Light bottles.
Yeah, Bud Light bottles and cans. I had a lot of pounder Bud Lights. Twisted tea, though, takes the cake. I don't know who the twisted tea drinkers are that pass through the Sunshine Town. First, don't drink and drive. Don't have open containers. And if you're going to do any of those things, don't throw them out the window. I mean,
throw them away at the gas station.
Yeah, but don't do it to begin with.
Right,
but,
obviously.
So we had talked about, we're half joking about it, like we're just going to start hanging out at convenience stores, and when you leave with a twisted tea, there will be a vehicle that follows you around.
Yeah, and as soon as you see the
yes,
one of those, right?
And when it goes out the window, we're gonna bust you.
Yep, that's crazy. There were a lot.
You know what's sad about that? Like, and I'm not trying to be like an old codger here, but like, man, it's not your property. Like, there's no respect. You know what I mean? Like, at the very basic level, it comes down to respect. Like, you own this property. It's absolutely gorgeous up here.
Thank you.
I could not imagine, like, leaving here and throwing my styrofoam black coffee cup on your grass, just like, hey, yeah, whatever, Steve, you pick it up. You know?
Done with it.
Yeah, like, that's just... To me, it's just such a lack of respect, right?
It would kind of be hilarious if the chief left today and threw his coffee cup out the window.
I won't do that.
On his property, though. Don't throw it in the road.
Yeah, no.
All right, Chief, we got PJ coming up here really soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. I'd love to come back.
Well, we'd love to have you back. Absolutely.
Yeah,
This is great. It's great PR for the PD. It's good for the town.
I like what you guys are doing, man. Thanks for having me.
I personally just want to thank you for being involved with the cleanup on Sunday. I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping some more people were going to show up that represented the town, and I was like, well, maybe he lives in town. I don't know. And then you're like, well, no, I still live in Claremont, and really thank you, because it's way above your job to just you're the chief, but to do that extra
leadership.
We thank you for that.
I appreciate the sentiment, but at the end of the day, like, we are all part of a community too, and it works better, and we're able to get more done when we work together. So.
And it
Absolutely.
humanizes you too.
Yeah, a
It
little
lets
bit.
us all get to see you, just like with the Dancing with the Stars.
Well, you'll
so.
see that on Saturday when you two are running around like knuckleheads and tutus.
Exactly.
Yes.
So,
All right, Brent, thank you very much.
see you soon.
We'll be right back with PJ Lovely from the Newport Rec Center. Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. We have PJ Lovely in the house. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, thanks. How about yourself?
Not bad. A little rainy day out there today, but we need it.
We
We're
need
gonna
the
have to-
rain.
Yeah, next week's weather looks very, very nice. So I'm fingers crossed because we have a lot of outside stuff we need to
A
do.
lot
So,
of stuff.
so the weather's supposed to be good on Saturday. We have the 5K.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the challenge with us and the chief?
I heard you might be donning some type of dress apparatus. or-
Well, yeah. So like pink tutus. He's got a pink cape. We're doing it all for donations for charity. Basically, if he's going to run it twice, because I didn't think he would run it twice, but he will run it twice. He runs it twice. If we can beat his time of him finishing it twice, then he'll match the donations that we get. And if
Within reason.
within reason, of course.
Same with us.
Yeah.
yeah, right. If he
Yeah.
gets a $20,000
Yeah.
donation,
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
there's no matching.
No. And then if we can't beat it, then we're going to match it. And so we're going to take the money and we're going to donate it to the school, because I've talked to a lot of administrators and teachers lately, and they said there's a lot of kids in school that don't know when they're going to get their next meal, which I find like sad and just like in shock, because our community is so great. We do so much for our community.
We have the food pantry.
Yeah, the food pantry, everything. I hear that, it's like, oh, that's. So I'm like, that's a good cause. That's what we want to do. So we'll present the check at the school board meeting next Thursday. Still looking for donations. Any business out there, I don't care if it's $5. I don't care what it is.
Right.
It's all going for charity. And we just figured we'd do something crazy to,
Yeah.
inspire people to donate.
So
So
highlight it, yeah.
9:30 the kids race.
9:30 kids race. 10 o'clock is the main race will go off, and it's not ironic. It's a coincidence that our proceeds will go to scholarships funds for kids who can't afford a rec program or day camp.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
any money we make goes back to those kids in need.
So that's awesome. So
Yeah.
so get out, Ron. You can sign up the same day. You can sign up pre-sign up, right?
Pre-sign up right now. You can go to the rec website, www.newportrec.com. You can sign up there. You can also sign up race day, swing down at 9 o'clock, get your bib number, and get stretched out and be ready to go.
And you
Awesome.
don't have to run. You can also
No.
walk it.
Yeah, it's also called the Lulian Wright Memorial Walk. So she taught aerobics for our rec center for 20, 30 years, and then she passed away, but she lasted till she was 94,
Wow.
teaching classes at the rec.
That's awesome.
So we want to do a walk in honor of her. So there's a lot of people that do walk.
So speaking about the rec and that, so the vote, Article 6 for the new rec center, I've seen a lot of things on Facebook. Steve's not on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. And
Good for you, Steve.
yeah, I know. I tell him sometimes, you're so lucky you don't have Facebook. But
Yeah.
because I read everything and I like facts. I don't like misinformation. And there was a flyer that came out about some misinformation that said that the starting tax impact was like 73 cents, but it's not. 74 cents is the highest tax impact. Basically, the warrant article is we will raise $4 million of tax money
Correct.
through a bond, and then we'll fundraise 4.6 to come up with the 8.6 we need to build this. So this is a huge opportunity for our community to get a rec center for less than half price, because the only impact is the $4 million, and the rest is donations. We have now, where are we on the donations? We're last I heard it was around close to $3 million. Is that
It was
right?
2.8.
2.8 million.
2.8 million in pledges and donations.
Pledges and donations. So obviously, our opinion is we need this for our children. But what a lot of people don't understand is you do so much more than just the kids. The cleanup, green up, that was the rec center.
Right.
This 5K is the rec center.
Right.
When you did the Easter egg drop and the Easter egg hunt for the 60 plus group,
Right.
that's the rec center. And I took a picture of, as well as Beth, Rexford took a picture of, what was it, your exercise group of
Yes.
some senior ladies, I think were like 70, 80-year-old ladies that take advantage of the exercise program. So the community center is a community center. It is for everybody. It's not just for kids. It's for the community.
That's right, and that's what we try to push. We like to offer programs for all ages and abilities to enjoy, and we try to do that with the facility we have, and the same facility we've been at for 55 years. It's old, it's tired. A new one will inevitably bring more programs to the people of the community, all ages,
Right.
and that's that's kind of the goal. That's the impact we want to have. We want to be good for the next 55 years.
But it's funny because I saw a lot of comments on Facebook like, well, why did we let the current rec center get to the situation it's in now? And I'm like, well, it's because of comments like this on Facebook why we let it get in, because we always kick the can down the road. We don't want to put the money into it, right? So, well, I don't want my taxes to go up. I don't want my tax to go up. Well, we've been doing this for a long, long time. It's time to do this right. Let's get it done and have a great community center. And then that will be more beneficial to our town. Now is the time to do it.
Right. It's like a dual-edged sword, right? So 1997 was the first year I was on a new community center committee. And at that point, we talked about we were getting close to putting a vote. It never got to a vote, but we talked about some of the shortfalls that it had. And we said, well, if you fix it now, you're wasting money if we get a new center. So we don't fix it. But then we're still in this committee mode all year round. We don't want to put a lot of money into it in case there's a new one.
Right.
Because all of a sudden you'd be, why'd you spend all that money? So you can't win almost on that.
Right. And the problem with the current rec center is literally the town owns like almost the footprint of the building, right? They don't own,
Right.
A couple acres or anything. It's just the small footprint of the building. So the chances of actually renovating that center, you can't do nothing. You're not going to increase the size of anything. You might be able to bring some things up to code. And the estimate was that, and that was another thing that I've seen on there. Like people are like, well, how can you estimate it? Well, because companies do this every single day. They estimate everything. And so the estimate to update the center was like $3.91 million.
Right.
That makes no sense. I'm the type of person that's let's fix it right the first time. And once you do that with your house, do you want to patch your roof that's completely falling apart and maybe it gets you through the winter, or do you just want to bite the bullet, get it fixed, and then
Get it done.
have
Right.
something good,
And the cost, 3.91 for upgrades,
Right.
is roughly the same as the commitment to build the new rec center. It's
Right, and it's never going to be cheaper. So I know right now building costs are high. They're not normally high like this. And at some point they will have to go down. However, what won't go down is the cost of getting workers to do jobs. I mean, with inflation, all the other things going on in our country, $15 an hour is not. It's kind of a setback now if you're looking at it. So a lot of these companies that you hire that come in to build a new building, like they're well paid. It's never going to be cheaper. If we keep kicking the can down the road, and we talk about this in 2 years, it's not going to be 8.6. It's probably going to be $13 million. And so now's the opportunity to do it. It is a small tax. In fact, it's 74 cents at the highest. And there's still, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but is there still a chance that some grants and stuff could come in here and possibly change that? Or
That's right. What would change it is if we get bigger grants, we get a bigger donor, we get someone that says, hey, this is a great project, I'm going to put money into it, and that can come off the bond. And
Right.
I'm not sure how that works. That's a
Sure,
Paul
right.
Brown question, but
Yep.
certainly it could be cheaper. And then that's the worst case scenario is the 8.6
Right.
as of now, unless something else changes, of course.
Right.
But it could be less than that. So
Sure.
But we got 2.8 million. We're not really actively fundraising right now because we want to see how the vote goes.
Of course.
And then we open it up, and I think we'll fill that coffer pretty quick, I believe.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So I know you're the track and field coach.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that. How's your year going, and how's that? What's going on there?
It's good. So the rec department runs a middle school track and field program, which
Mm-hmm.
I help out with. And then also I'm a coach of the varsity with a couple helpers. And we've had a great season so far. We have a middle school meet tomorrow at home. And then we go to Stevens Friday night. And then Saturday we have the freshman sophomore meet, same time as the Sunshine 5K. And we get some good athletes. Your daughter's one of them. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think she's having fun.
She is. She was a little disappointed she didn't throw the javelin far enough to qualify.
Yeah. I got a few more feet to go to try to get her into the state meet, but it's possible. She's working hard. Today we gave them the day off because it's raining.
Well, she'll enjoy that then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They all will. And we should qualify about 10 kids, I think, for the state meet, and which is good. Last year we were the boys state champions, first time since 1958.
Wow.
So
Congratulations.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was pretty
absolutely.
awesome. Yeah. So we're not as strong as last year. We graduated a bunch of seniors, but we're certainly in the mix, and teams look to compete against us because we have a solid team. That's always nice, when they're looking out for you and there's Newport. So you want to be known for something. As we get some solid track athletes, some really good wrestlers, and the softball team right now is undefeated. So
Yes. We had Jeff on yesterday, and he's saying they're 5-0, right?
5-0.
5-0.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's great to have good things happen in town. Right?
It is, and there's so much good. And That's the thing that me and Steve are keep talking about is, talking about the positive things in town. And yeah, we'll have days where we're going to talk about some negative things, but we want to constantly let the community know about the positive things that are happening at the school, the positive things that happen in the community, at the rec center.
And try to get more participation out there.
Yes,
So we get more
yes.
fans at
Yeah.
the track meets than we have
I
at the
love it,
football
yeah.
games.
It's funny because so Adriana did track last year,
Yep.
and before that, my opinion of track was like, this is gonna be boring. I'm like, when he signed up, I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to go to this, and this is like not gonna be fun. I was so surprised. I went. I was like, holy crap! There is so much going on. It's no downtime. It's constantly event to move it along, and to see some of these kids go out there and just compete is just awesome, and it's inspiring to actually see what some of these kids can do is really awesome, and I'm so proud of our community for these athletes that do the things they do.
Well, the camaraderie in track and field is unprecedented in any other sport. It's co-ed, so boys and girls are on the same team, which is really cool. But then they support the other teams and make friends with other team members, and they cheer each other on. And we have Stevens next to us, Fall Mountain, Kearsarge. We're all cheering for like our neck of the woods. So when we
Right.
compete against some of the bigger schools in Nashua, it's always go Western New Hampshire, and we're always excited to see someone do well from your area.
Right, and that's what I had said on a previous episode was that the last bit of the race is always great to have somebody cheering you on, because when I ran cross country, and even if they're not cheering for you, but you hear the roar of the crowd, if you get a good crowd out there, it just gives you that extra boost that you're already storing up a little bit of energy to unleash it. But then when you hear just the excitement of the crowd as you're coming towards the finish line, it just gives you that extra boost. And so that's why I try to encourage the town to come out and yell for all these kids, because it impacts all the runners, all the participants in every sport, just to know that someone's out there cheering for them.
And it's such a proud moment when you watch, especially if you're from Newport and you're watching Newport athletes, finish first, whatever. It's such a proud moment. It really is, to sit there and see that, and you're like, it's that community spirit, right? That it's like, wow, we just did this. And like last year, Liza Bates was like lightning fast with a lot of the stuff. Marius throwing the javelin, like I could watch that kid throw that thing all day long. It was insane how good he was at that.
Right.
And it's like, if Adriana didn't join, I would have just kind of had like whatever opinion of it. So get out and support your community, support your kids, check this stuff out, and it doesn't cost anything to go to it.
Right.
Show up, cheer on your team. I've got relatives that went to Fall Mountain. That's cool. Come cheer on Fall Mountain. We just want people here and for the kids to see there are more people here and that they care and they want to participate, watch this,
A little pride.
Yeah, have some pride in your town, and that's awesome. So your next big meet for varsity, what's that, next week?
The next big meet, there's freshman sophomore meet on Saturdays, kind of big.
Yep.
But then we have the CVL trials on Tuesday, and then if you make the finals, it's the following Saturday. So that's like the best teams all in our area: Keene, Brattleboro, Hartford, Newport, Kearsarge. There's like 30 teams in this CVL Valley that they'll compete, the best of the best.
So it doesn't matter how big the school is; they're
Nope.
just looking for the fastest, or
Fastest,
the longest
throwers,
jumping
yep,
throwers.
Yep, and the best
That's
people
awesome.
go to the finals. It's
That
cool.
makes it difficult too,
It
because
does.
we're such a small town competing against some of these bigger towns.
It's almost harder than the state meet, which is all Division III. There's 30 plus schools in that, but they're all our size. We're a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, but these schools are, Keene. It's huge.
We're huge.
Yeah. So we'll compete. We'll do well, and we're looking forward to it.
And you'll have events where that, like home events, and you'll have events you go to Stevens, and
Right.
and then you have like special events like this one. The States is at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's in 3 weeks, really. It's
3
coming.
weeks. Wow.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of different events just besides just a couple teams coming to a track meet, correct?
Right, some big
Yep.
meets. And then we, like the middle school, we're running the CVL Boys Middle School meet,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically the same as the CVCs for varsity, except we're hosting it here. And we hosted it last year. This is our second year hosting it. And there's going to be 30 schools down here. I think the school's putting in new bleachers.
Yep.
I think you talked about them, so that I think
Yep.
they'll be ready. So we'll fill those bleachers for a track meet, which is cool.
That would
When
be
is
awesome.
that? When is that meet for the middle school?
That's Friday. I think it's 27th is a Friday.
Wow.
May 27th.
So look forward. If you see it, pull over, walk
it
up
out.
there, and just cheer.
Yep. Yell and scream. Yep.
Yell and scream.
Awesome. 30 teams.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you find time to do all this between the rec center and then coaching the track at the school?
It's I don't know. It's kind of become my life. Like rec center is my life, and so is track. It's my life. My lifestyle is into these things. So it doesn't feel like work, even though it is. So I'm just constantly always thinking about these things anyway. So I don't know if time, my wife will tell you I work too much, no doubt about it, but I still like it, and I still have the passion for it, so I'm going to keep it going.
That's awesome when you can find a job that you love and it doesn't feel like work. Because when we're looking at it from the outside, it's like, man, he has got to be worn out and just super busy. But if you love it, I guess it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, it's true. And I take my vacations. My vacations are probably more active than most. Like I like to go hiking. I went to Costa Rica just this last week, and I sat on the beach to try to get some sun. I was probably lying down for 30 seconds, and I was up and find something to do.
Did you swim at all?
I swam, I body surfed, we hiked, we found these remote places to swim at, and
that's awesome.
it was great. And that's what I kind of like to do, adventure. Yeah, a little bit here and there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I as a community member and someone that, as a kid, did basketball at the rec center. I was never, ever good at it, but I was very thankful for the rec. But definitely want to thank you for the commitment that you've put into this community, because a lot of people had a job for a few years and move on, and you've been here a very long time, and you're fully committed to this town. And like we were talking to Jeff Miller the other day about, a lot of teachers that have been here for many, many years because they love this community. And so, no, I just want to thank you for that, because I know you've made a huge impact on my life when I was a kid, and all our kids now would say the same thing. And I don't know of any kid out there that wouldn't, if they had any involvement with the rec, they would be like, PJ's done so much for me. So I really want to thank you for that, because you go above and beyond. It's not just a job. You really, you do. You go well above and beyond.
Your passion, when Zeta first started running track, she was excited because the way that you just included her, and she had no real experience. I think she did it when we were moving around in the military. She did track a few times, but not in middle school, I don't think. And so it was just you welcomed her in well. And like you said, being a co-ed team, I think she made more friends even in our small school. And it's just an awesome experience. And it's awesome. Another reason why we love Newport is the rec center. That's part of, just like having a great police force, great EMS, you got to have a place for us to all come together. And I think we can all agree, if we walk through and look at the rec, that it's due for not just an upgrade, like as in repairs, but an upgrade in better facilities for our community, so that we can get over this. And we talked about with Chief earlier, just the social, kind of dissociation that's going on right now from the pandemic, is getting everybody back together. And then a new rec center will provide not only the space for that, but also maybe more abilities to create more clubs and groups. So it's not, we'll be able to expand services that you provide right now.
That's right. Yeah, and thanks for that, because that's the mission, and we're not here to try to duplicate any services. Rec center can be anything.
Right.
And whatever your recreation is, we'll find it. And if it's already offered in town, we'll find something else. Could be tiddlywinks or a chess club, whatever's not being offered. We can offer that, and that's what some of the space in the new community center is for. It's multi-purpose space. It's not earmarked to one thing. It's not just basketball. It could be anything, and we want to be ready for whatever that thing is.
A lot of the complaints I'd seen on Facebook, back to that, like, doesn't have a pool, and it drives me nuts, because I'm like, listen, you already have enough of you complaining about how much it costs now, but you're complaining it doesn't have a pool, and that would be a couple $1 million more, plus huge maintenance fees. So the reason, because that's been a question, why is there no pool?
Right.
Because it's too expensive for our community to do that, to have a pool. Where if you want a pool, Claremont has a rec center with a pool. You can go over there, you can swim. I know Hartford has a pool. So that's the reason why there's not a pool, because you guys are still trying to do this cost effectively, that we get what we need. Which, yes, a pool would definitely be, that's a want.
It'd be sweet, yeah.
Yeah, it would be awesome. I mean, that'd be great. But then you'd have to have more staffing. And so it's a lot harder thing. So the reason there is no pool, because you guys are trying to be responsible with this and build it for, this will suit our needs and well into the future. But a pool is it's just too much over the top for our community.
Right.
So I know, like I said, I see a lot of negative comments on there, and it drives me nuts. I hate disinformation. Like, the facts they're on the Warren article. Read the facts. I understand there's some people in our community that they can't afford it and they have to vote no. I understand that. But I think most of us can afford to, 74 cents per thousand a year. I think, we need to invest in our kids and into our community, because let's face it, the rec keeps a lot of kids out of trouble. And
Right.
boys and girls clubs in inner cities how many kids have they saved that would have gone down a really bad path? Newport's no different with our rec center. A lot of these kids that were Jeff Miller was saying, football players, that this kid wouldn't have graduated high school if he didn't have football. But that's something that he got involved with and got him through school. So this is the same kind of thing. We need to invest in our children in the future of our community.
Yeah, not just the children, like we said earlier.
Yes,
So children is
absolutely.
one aspect, but also our health. I mean,
Right.
it's a physical health. There's mental health. There's all kinds of positive rewards that you get from having a well planned out and established we're going to call it a community center.
Community center, right.
And so it's not just for basketball. It's not just for volleyball. It's for all kinds of things. And I think if the community thinks about it in that light and you can sacrifice a little bit, then from our opinion it's an obvious vote yes for the rec center proposition or Article 6.
Article 6.
If we're talking about the kids too, you talked about like the Claremont Community Center is a beautiful facility.
Yep.
It's a membership driven, which means some of the kids who may need it the most would have to come up money to walk into the place.
Right.
So some of our community center will still be open in the after school hours of some of the kids for free. So those kids will get a nice healthy environment, even if it's only for a few hours a day like they do now, to kind of shake out their willies and get off the streets a little bit, play a little basketball, socialize, play a little pool, maybe get some good role models for a few hours, and we want to keep that. So it's not an exclusive resort; it's still a community center. But also, at the same token, you want that time when there's a couple senior folks coming in, and there's a couple 4th, 5th graders popping in. And all of a sudden, they're playing chess together, and you see that those people working together, and
It's awesome.
they're giving back to each other. Really, they're learning about the kids, and the kids are learning from the seniors. And that was kind of the vision I always had in the whole mind, just to see some of those age groups interact together.
Yeah, and so the vote's May 10th, so that's next Tuesday. If you're kind of on the fence about this and you're not sure, go down to the rec center, walk around. It literally doesn't look any different than when I was a kid. It's the same. Everything's the same. It was kind of like too small when we were a kid. Like you're cramped on the sidelines, and go look at it. Don't take our word for anything. Go look at it, look around, and then I think you would look at it, and if you're a taxpayer, you're gonna be like, oh wow, I didn't realize that this is what I thought it was nicer. I thought whatever. Like get out and look at it, and
Right.
really make a decision.
One
Don't-
restroom.
One restroom.
one bathroom. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And that's where the kids change for whatever they play, and then you get the adult volleyball at night, and they all wait in line for the bathroom if they want to change. And
Right.
but we haven't complained over the years, and that's probably half our fault. We just worked with what we had.
Right.
no. You've done your job. You've done as much as you can do with what you got. We're gonna complain, and we're gonna tell the taxpayers like get out and vote for this. This is Tim and Steve saying it, not PJ. And because no matter what, even if it gets turned down, you're still going to go to work on Wednesday, and you're still going to give the best of yourself to the community like you've been doing for years.
No doubt.
And then we'll go from there. But let's get out May 10th. Let's vote for this. Let's get this done. Anything else coming up at the rec? Any events in May here? Or?
So we get the Sunshine 5K May. Thursday night starts dropping volleyball. That starts this Thursday night.
Okay.
June 18th is the 6 in the Sticks Trail Run. We got a trail running series going locally all throughout western New Hampshire, and that starts June 18th with the annual 6 in the Sticks. And that's 6 miles in the woods, guys.
Wow.
If you want to get up to that with your tutus.
I don't know if I can do it with a tutu. I am going elk hunting in August, so I probably need to get out there and start
Yeah, start.
prepping myself. So I'm
Start
going to be
prepping.
at like 10 to 12,000 feet altitude, so I need to really.
All right.
I needed to be doing more than walking the 5K to beat Chief. I really need.
How's the chief in the
Race
woods?
He's pretty fast in the woods. I run with him a couple times. Yeah.
So to make this fair, then he should wear a bodysuit. And he has to weigh like in between our weight because that's what's fair. Because what's he weigh? 140.
Yeah, he's like 180 probably.
Is he 180?
170. Yeah, he's actually a thick,
Pretty solid.
He's pretty solid for a runner.
He's a really skinny guy, but so he's very solid.
Yeah,
Let's face it, we just can't beat
you're in
him.
trouble. Yeah.
We're gonna give it a shot,
We're
aren't
gonna
we?
give it a shot. We're gonna plan out the route. We're gonna break out the map, look at our altitudes, figure out when to walk and when to walk fast and when to sprint. I don't know sprint, but
Could you provide us with oxygen at the end of this thing?
We can do that. We can take care of you.
That might be very necessary.
Yeah.
go ahead.
You just want to be over halfway
before you lapse. Listen.
Right. Before you should have a radio back at the start.
That's a good idea.
So he just got back, and where are you at that point? So you'll know whether you can have to pick it up or you're way ahead.
Now, are you running it, or are you at the beginning of the?
I'll be at the beginning, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when Chief comes back, I don't know what you'll be doing at that point.
Yeah.
But if there's any way you could distract him, fake a heart attack,
Yeah.
whatever you can do
Right.
to distract him, so that you give us a fighting chance here.
That's good.
That would be good. And
Start talking to him about something, tell him
Yes.
you got a new project, trying to take his mind off.
And we
him.
have like 5 or 10 listeners, and most of them are family, so he's not going to know about any of this.
Yeah,
so,
right, there you go.
Yeah.
And then I did see when we were looking, you have is it a shooting club?
Shooting Yes.
League.
Shooting
Yes.
league.
I signed up for that.
Yeah.
Me and Kevin O'Neill are going to compete for the worst shooter.
And what
Right
kind,
on.
is it clay targets or?
Nope.
Oh, it's a regular bullseye target. I don't know what you call them, but yeah. And
He's going to sign up.
I need to because
You
I'm
should.
going on that elk hunt, so I need
Yes.
to.
it's all pistols, and we can't take
I got a pistol.
Yes. 9
Yeah,
millimeter,
pistol.
too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Jim Burrows and Pinnacle Tackle help run that whole thing. We can't take any credit for it as our program, although we do the signups.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they do all the logistics and things, and we help here and there. But
Well, that's awesome, though.
it's
It's,
cool.
it's being used as a community center right there.
That's
You're
right.
helping out.
we're helping out others. Yeah.
So it's $100 to sign up. I've already done this. They take 150 people. That's it. Last I knew, I listened to Jim and Kevin on the radio on Steve Smith's show yesterday, and they had like 94 signed up, whatever. So there's a little bit of space. So anyone out there that wants to
Right.
sign up, it's all I hear from everyone is how great of a time it is. So I was like, well, hey, I want to get involved with that. That sounds fun, and I like to shoot too. And I'm not going to be probably very good at it, but I'll try.
You'll get better. It's just practice. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I was pretty good with a 9mm when I was in the military. That was, all officers pretty much carry a 9mm and plus another weapon. So
So it'd be more fair. Me and you can compete.
I'll beat you with a 9mm.
Perfect. See this now. This
Yeah,
is some.
the challenge is
This
on.
is a challenge I might actually be able to, compete with versus beat Gordon Flash here. And anything else you like to talk about today? Anything going on that?
I'm thinking about doing a walk on Sunday. So if you guys were interested, I'm going to go down on the Common and for the community center, and not necessarily for the new community center, but just for the community center. So whether you want to vote yes or you want to vote no, just want to do a walk on the Common. So my premise is to do every hour on the hour for 24 hours, walk 4 laps around the Common.
Wow.
It'll be 50 kilometers total from noon on Sunday to noon on Monday. And it's just something I've always wanted to do, and this gave me a reason to do it.
So would you, everybody out there, or for you, it's to do 50
I'm
kilometers,
gonna
but
do
you
50
need us to come out and support you every
if you want to do a
other
lap,
hour.
come on, do a lap. You want to do 4 laps, do 4 laps.
Oh, we can do that.
But every hour on the hour,
We're
I'm
going
just
to be
gonna
pretty
do it.
sore, though, from trying to be cheap.
I know.
But we can do that.
But you
yeah.
can
But you have a hot tub.
I do have a hot tub.
So if we get in the hot tub, get loosened back up, we probably could get to the Common in time before we start to seize back up and
Yeah.
start
Right.
moving.
And I haven't really announced it yet at all until right this second just came to me.
Breaking news.
news.
Yes.
So
Tim
I
and
just broke
Steve
some
show.
news. Yeah, we're going to do it. So I said, why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we will not do 50 kilometers, but
No.
we will come down and at least do a few laps with you. And we'll mention this on the show the rest of the week and try to get some more people out to do it with you.
Yeah, it'd be
That
great.
sounds exciting.
Cool.
Just to bring awareness to the rec center
Yeah.
and hopefully a new community
Hopefully a
center.
new community center.
Awesome. That is
Yeah.
so awesome. Well, PJ, thank you so much for your time. And
got it.
we'll have to get you on here. Maybe we can get you on a couple times a month and let's talk about different things.
Yeah.
And we really want to get more community involvement, whether it's through the rec, through the town, through the school. That's our whole purpose of doing this. As Steve knows, I spend our money faster than we make any sort of money. So, but special thanks to Twin State Paving for sponsoring us. I think we're probably like, I don't know, $500-600 in the hole this week compared to what we got for sponsorship. But it's all for the. It really is. It's all for the community. It really is. Everything we do is for the community. Wearing pink tutus is for the community. So. Awesome. Thank you
Good.
very much.
Thanks for having
Thank
me,
you,
guys.
PJ.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
All right. This is the Tim and Steve show. We will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.